Hello, welcome back. This is Dad Chats 2, episode 9 today. Episode 9. Today we're talking to Jade Byrne. Good morning, Jade. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine. It's amazing to see you. I haven't seen you in a few years. The last time I saw you, you were performing on stage at TAD, talking about diabetes.
So that was 2019. So it's been 5 years since we've physically
Yeah.
seen each other. I've spoken to you, obviously, virtually through, well, I want to say Twitter, but obviously now it's X. But
Yeah,
yeah, I haven't actually physically seen you.
it's been, yeah, I keep saying Twitter as well. It's just, will it ever
Just what
change? Okay, so since that, since 2019, that's 5 years ago. Quite a lot has been going on, but we'll get into that in a little while. First of all, people that don't know much about you, can't be many people, surely not. But let's find out a little bit more to begin with.
okay.
You've got type one diabetes,
Yes.
and can you tell me a little bit about when you were diagnosed and what happened?
Yes, so it was November 1989. I was 4 years old. I had been full of cold and unwell for some time. And my mum noticed that I was weeing loads and drinking loads. They were my main symptoms. I was always a very slight built, skinny kid anyway. So I probably did lose weight, but I don't think that was as noticeable as the drinking and the weeing. My mum luckily had read an article not too long ago about type 1 diabetes, and she picked up on the symptoms and took me to the doctors and said that she wanted me testing for type 1, and they thought she was mental. They were like, no, it's probably just a water infection or something like that. But my mum insisted. My mum said no. I said, well, she said, while we're here, you're gonna test for type 1. Fair enough if it's not, kind of thing. But yeah, and so we did, and it turned out I was type 1. So I didn't have a kind of dramatic ending up in a coma kind of diagnosis story. It was, my mum was clued up, luckily. And so I was diagnosed quite quickly. I was in hospital. Not sure how many days I was in hospital for, a few days. And I spent most of that time hiding from doctors and nurses because I knew they were coming with needles. And that's why I think I am still the best person in the world at hide and seek. So, but yes, no,
That
that's. So I was only 4, and I'm now. What am I now? 38. So it's been 34 years of it.
Oh, very okay. So yeah, you a bit of longevity with diabetes, I guess, haven't we all? So that sounds like quite a not a gentle diagnosis. A sort of, at least you didn't have a DKA, a coma. You weren't
It's
awfully
kind of like
sick with it.
if there was an ideal diagnosis, it's probably along the lines.
Yeah.
I mean, no diagnosis is ideal, but if you were gonna, yeah, it wasn't dramatic. I didn't almost die, so that's good.
Yeah, that was good. And so when I saw your stage play, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well now. You spoke about diabetes when you were young and how you dealt with that, and there's quite a lot of emotional aspects to that. And I think people that live with type one, if they ever get to see you perform or see the play on video somewhere, they might feel the same as I did at the time. It's quite an emotional thing. So as the years have gone by now, do you feel as an adult, you know, and as you mentioned, 30 plus years have gone by, are you more laid back, accepting of where things have been for you? Is there scars of what happened when you were young, or are you good with that now? Is there a level of acceptance of type one with you now?
Yes, I think there probably is. I think actually writing the play probably was the most therapeutic thing I could have done. And it really, really helped in terms of acceptance. I've literally just been with a parent this morning. I do a few different jobs, but I'm a peer support worker for parents with kids with special educational needs like myself. And she has a son who's type 1 and he's really struggling at the moment. And I just said to her, I went, don't worry. When he, at some point in his life, he'll realise it's his superpower. I said, when he needs to get out of a parking ticket, when he wants to jump the queue at the theme park, when he wants to, and I was coming up and trying to come up with all these positive things. I said, he will eventually accept it. He might not now, but he will at some point. Everyone. You've just got to, I think you've just, if you're able to, and not everyone's the same, but if you're able to, you've just got to see the positives. I'm an every cloud has a silver lining kind of person. So, yeah, I think finding the positives and sometimes using it to your advantage is absolutely fine, because you go through a lot of crap with type 1. So just use it to your benefit if you can.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, absolutely. I mean, it's a 24/7 lifelong condition. So if there's
Yeah.
any silver linings anywhere, absolutely, I think take advantage of them.
Yeah.
I think that's a good message to give to the kids.
And I know that some people, like online, and it tends to be like when people talk about on the forums and stuff about theme park jumping the queue, some people get their backs up about it, and it's usually, well, in my opinion, it's usually parents of type 1s that are trying to probably put a positive message to the kids that this isn't going to stop you from doing anything, it doesn't make you different, blah, 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 which is great. But actually, it's so relentless what we go through. So reap the benefits wherever you can. Just do it. You may as well. Like, yeah. So that's my opinion. I know some people don't agree with jumping the queue, but I absolutely do.
I absolutely do as well, because if I stand up for too long or walk about for too long, I'll go hypo. So you jump that
That's
queue.
right, that's my issue. Yeah, it makes life a lot easier.
Yeah, I think it's a fair point, a fair silver lining, maybe. So, you mentioned there that you do a little work with special needs youngsters, and also I've noticed on your bio you are an ambassador with JDRF.
Yes,
Now I
I
know we
am.
spoke just before we started, but you've done a little work with them, and
Yeah,
can you tell me what how that's come about so far?
yeah. So I was absolutely thrilled. So when you saw my show at TAD, it was, I think it was actually in the pub after that. It was in the pub after TAD. One of the girls from JDRF came over and said, we'd love you to be an ambassador. And I went, oh my God, I want to be an ambassador. Like, I was like, I've always wanted to be an ambassador. I wanted to have JDRF, because when I toured the show, I always had JDRF buckets at the show. We used to get a lot of money. Like, people were really generous. I think we were quite invested in the cause by the end of the show, that they were super, like, there was lots of £20 notes in there, and like the people were, so we used to raise a lot of money in the buckets, and I wanted to do that at TAD, but I wasn't allowed. There was some rules in place where I wasn't allowed to have the buckets, but they still asked
Yeah.
me to be an ambassador, which was great. I did talk about, I think I did mention at the end, I always try and signpost people towards JDRF, give them some money, because they are the people responsible for all this research and all the technology that we have now. Without JDRF, like, we wouldn't have that, and they are, yes, they're just very special to me.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think because the amount of things that you do publicly with your show, and we're going to talk about your book in a minute as well, and the TV stuff, it makes sense to use not your persona, the image that you have online, and the amount of influence that you can have. You're not an influencer, I know that, but it makes sense to use that to,
I'm so happy you said that. I'm so happy you said that, because people, I do sometimes get referred to as an influencer, and I'm like, I'm not an influencer. Nobody gives me anything for free. I'm not getting free. I'm not an influencer, and I don't ever plan to be. I just I post when I want to post, and if people like it, that's great. You get the real me.
Yeah, and you have that good following, and you've got that, that there's a good feeling between you and the community, which makes sense to sort of almost use that to help people like JD or DUK or
Yeah,
anybody like that that do, these good things to help people with diabetes, whether that's type 1 or anything. It does make sense to use it. I know that I've got a little following on X or Twitter, so I attempt to do the same thing and, highlight these good causes, highlight the good work that they do. And, maybe a
yeah.
donation or two happens. And then, if there's a feel good factor.
Even if just one donation happens, it's worth it, isn't it? I always try to involve. So obviously, I know you're going to move on to the book Daisy Donald, but that was originally it was a collaboration with JDRF. Well, the agreement, it was a pound from every book goes to JDRF, because nothing's going to change if we don't keep researching and advancing what we've already got. So we need to keep, they're there for us. And I know there's also Diabetes UK, of course, as well. But JDRF are purely type 1 diabetes led. So that's why I always wanted to be an ambassador for them. But we should definitely, and I think it's our jobs as advocates. That's what I would describe myself as, an advocate. I'm not an influencer, I'm an advocate. I mean, if anyone wants to send me free products, they totally can, and I will do. I'll do a post then. No, I don't get anything I put out there. I'm not being asked. I'm not doing it for someone else. It's not an advertisement. It's me. If it was an advertisement, it would say, "Now my dog's barking. Can you hear my dog?"
Yeah,
I'm the cat.
I heard a little what, but that's for honestly. If my dog doesn't bark in a video, it's amazing. So we're good with barking dogs.
Okay.
You can only watch this podcast if you like dogs. It's as simple as that.
Well, I love animals. They're important.
Yeah,
I think he's calmed down.
dogs are just amazing. They're like these special, magical animals to me. Dogs, I love them.
I think both. I don't know with my dog yet. So he's only a pup. He's 7 months. But my cats always seem to know if my blood sugar's low. Like in the middle of the night, I can guarantee you if my alarms go off, I've got, especially the cat, you can't see her right now, but she's just sat up here. Especially Effie, she always seems to be there if my blood sugar's low. She's always pawing me, and so I don't know if she maybe I don't know if she's heard my Dexcom alarms and I haven't yet, and she's like, oh, there's an alarm going off, I better wake her up. Or if she's sensing it, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But no, I love animals.
It is weird how they get that. I don't know if it's a scent we give off or something. I don't know. And we just don't notice it, do we? Because we're dealing with whatever we're dealing with. But animals have got that super powerful sort of sense of smell, I think, haven't they? Maybe it's something to do with that. And if it's something new, you get poured in the face by your cat in the night, I guess. So yeah, Daisy Donald. Okay, if there's links to buy Daisy Donald the book, I'm going to put some down below, and I'm going to get those off you later.
The Etsy shop link. Also, actually, can I just one second, when you were talking about Pricks the Play, it is available. The whole play is available on YouTube, so I'll make sure you have that link as well.
Perfect. What I'm going to do, people who are watching this and want to know more or want to buy the Daisy Donald book, because of course you do, I'm going to put a thing called links down below, and it'll have Jade's, and then you can, do some tapping, do some following, do some buying of a few things. So Daisy Donald the book, let's get onto that. How did that come about? Was it just a light bulb moment? How did it begin?
I'd always wanted. I was always interested in writing a kids' book, a children's book, and my mum passed away 6 days before Tad in March 2019, and I'd always felt that my mum had been so great at making me feel like type 1 diabetes made me special. It was my superpower rather than, wasn't anything negative. And I kind of wanted to be able to make sure that all children had a little piece of my mum and kind of like her perspective on it, and how, yes, we understand there's highs and lows, but actually it makes you can do everything. It's not going to stop. It's not going to stop you. But you need your support around you. You need your invisible cape, as it is in Daisy Donald. So yeah, I think that was why I wanted to write the book. I happened to mention to JDRF that I wanted to write the book, and they said, "Oh, what about launching it on World Diabetes Day 2019?" So that was in, I think, June or July. And I was like, okay, so I'm going to write the book, got to get the book illustrated and printed in time for 14th of November.
Wow.
But I did, because I love a challenge. Like, I am best, that's how I work. I need to be told, you need to give me this by this date, and then I will have that by that date. And compromises were made along the way, because Penguin were publishing it. Penguin were publishing the book, but they couldn't have it ready in time for World Diabetes Day. So, and the deal, in my opinion, wasn't the best, and like it wasn't ideal, the deal. But they couldn't have it ready in time for World Diabetes Day. So maybe it was a stupid decision, I don't know. But I pulled out of that publishing deal and self-published instead. And
okay,
it goes out. It sells pretty much every week. This copy's going all over the world. So
amazing! Wow. I mean, I've heard of people self-publishing, and it just seems like such hard work. But obviously, you're so devoted to doing that, and as you mentioned, give you a date, you'll work to it, and you'll make it happen, and you did.
Yes.
Amazing.
And that's just how. And I think I said to you before we started, and I definitely I'm sure I've got ADHD in some because I really struggle to stay on track all the time. But when I have something that I'm like hyper focused on, that's the best. I'm brilliant when I'm hyper focused.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So when I've got a date or whatever, then something has to be ready by. It'll be done.
Yeah. Is ADHD something that you're waiting to talk about with a specialist, or is it?
Yeah,
I'm
waiting for assessment. I'm waiting for my assessment, and it's just because I kind of want to know, because I say it a lot. I say, "Oh, I think I've got, or I've probably got," and I'd rather just be able to say I've got ADHD. So I don't know if I get the diagnosis, if I'll actually do anything about it in terms of like medication. I'm not sure. I might do, but yeah, it's more just so I can, and it helped. It really, now I've realised that about myself. And when I said it to my sister, I said, "Amy, I've realised I think I have ADHD." She went, "Are you joking?" She went, "How have you only just realised that?" And I was like, "Why have you never told me this? Why have you never told me this before?" So yeah, no, and it something that, hopefully within by the end of the year, I should have been assessed and I'll know. So we'll see.
Okay. Yeah. So it seems obvious to your sister.
There is a link between type 1 and especially inattentive ADHD. I've read some articles on that. There's some interesting research going into that, neurodiversity in type 1. But that's another story that I don't know enough about to talk about right now.
Wow. I didn't know that. I know type 1 is linked to so many things, and I've only lately learned it's quite common with people that are starting to not go deaf completely, but just lose a little bit in the ears, and obviously it affects the eyes and lots of things as well. But just all of these new things that seem to come out now. And now you're mentioning potentially with ADHD as well, and potentially some other things.
This is my thing with it. Okay, so this was one of the projects that I was considering doing at some point. So there's this link. We're seeing this link between neurodiversity and type 1. But my question is it neurodiversity, or is it neurodiversity? Is it being wrongly diagnosed as neurodiversity and actually it's developmental trauma? Because I don't think people realise how much of a trauma a diagnosis is. And I know a lot about developmental trauma and neurodiversity because I have kids that have both. But developmental trauma is basically a bit of ADHD, a bit of autism, and what was the other one? Sometimes, no. Yeah, but basically it's a mix of a lot of neurodiversities. And I wonder if actually these kind of ADHD and or ASD type symptoms you see and the link that they're making, is it that or is it developmental trauma? Because they don't necessarily, psychologists look at it, don't necessarily recognise the diagnosis as such a trauma in the first place,
Yeah.
and how that can affect
No,
you.
you
Anyway,
make a good point. You make it.
I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor, but that's just my head on that subject.
You've got. You might not be. You might not be a scientist. You might not be a doctor. But when you live with these things, you become an expert.
Yes.
In your own home, don't you? About type 1, it might be with ADHD, and yes, obviously with your kids yourself, you know a lot about that. So whether the
Yeah.
link is shown in future, I wouldn't be shocked by that at all. I feel like type
Yeah.
1 can be linked to so many things because of so many things that it affects with us mentally and physically.
Yes.
So we're just coming towards the end, but I'm going to mention one more thing. And, Jade, you're quite famous, Jade, and you don't mention it a lot. So
I don't sell myself very well.
you have been on
I'm not.
TV
I have.
quite a few times, let's be honest. Tell
Yeah.
tell me the shows you've been in, and has type 1 caused any issues with TV, with
No.
being on TV?
Hasn't actually, thankfully, caused any issues for me with any acting work on TV. I don't know if that's because I have maybe not told them about it until later on, and now it's been a long time since I've auditioned for TV. Now I'd be very different about that. I think I'd be very much like, oh, I have type 1 diabetes, because actually it's a disability and it ticks a big box for them. They have to be shown to be diverse. So actually it works to my benefit. That's another way I use it to benefit. Funding applications, I always put it in there. But yeah, no, I've been in Casualty. I died on Casualty though. So they're never going to have me back on Casualty.
Oh,
I died. I did a guest lead on that. I got my leg caught
how
in
did you?
it.
Tell us how you died on Casualty. What happened?
It was very dramatic. Now, I got my leg caught in a deer trap on an orienteering trip with work, like a team building thing. John Thompson was my boss, from Cold Feet. Well, from everything. I keep seeing him everywhere at the moment. So he was my boss, and I ended up on an orienteering trip, and I got my leg caught in a deer trap. They gave me a blood thinner at the scene, and it turned out I couldn't have blood thinners. I ended up having a cardiac arrest in hospital and died. So yeah, that was Casualty. And my favourite TV job was Inspector George Gently. That was my favourite one ever. And I was a guest lead in that. But I had quite a funny. Well, I made her quite funny. It was it was quite a comedic role, and that's what I loved. I love comedy, so I loved playing that. And then I've done little bits. I've done Mount Pleasant, and I've done the Dumping Ground. Just little kind of one scene numbers in them as well. So yeah, I've done a bit, but yeah, people. Yeah, I'm not famous. I'm not very good. I don't sell myself very well. I'm the opposite of my dad. My dad's so good at bigging himself up, but I think that's why I don't, because it makes me sick when he does. So I tend to play around.
It's what we do. It's what dads do. We're so amazing at bigging ourselves up. But yeah, to be in those TV shows, I mean, that's cool, and hopefully you'll be on more things in future. I guess you're still open to that sort of part of
Yes,
life.
absolutely. I haven't, since we adopted the girls, I haven't. I was going to say I haven't had an agent, but I have. I've had two agents. So well, anyway, but I haven't pursued it. I haven't actively pursued it. But if someone got in touch and said, "Oh, we want to see you for this," I would absolutely go for it. I
Cool.
probably need to start pursuing it more again because I'm in my element when I'm acting. So
Yeah, yeah, definitely. You've had an amazing death in Casualty. That's not the peak. Let's go
it wasn't
Hollywood
very,
next.
I'm going to be honest, like it wasn't very well written. It was quite hard to act it because the writing was not great. Shh, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that's why I don't get any more jobs. That's it. That's why they killed me off because we'll maybe cut that bit.
Let's get you a type 1 diabetes part somewhere. And
Yeah, that would
yeah, well,
wouldn't that be amazing? Well, I've got one coming up. I've got one, but it's theatre and it's Daisy Donald because I'm going to play
okay.
Daisy.
Now,
Um,
okay, you're going to tell me about the Daisy Donald theatre show. I'm going to put the links down below and the dates as well. So tell me when and where.
so we've got 18 shows across 8 venues at the moment. That could increase, but it won't increase massively. From the 10th of October through to the 2nd of November. So just about 3 weeks. It's a family show. It's full of wonderful songs. I'll give you the link for a little YouTube kind of document. Oh, I'll give you a little YouTube link so you get a feel of it. And it's something that we sent
Okay.
out to the programmers of the theatres to try and get them to buy into it. So we've got, I start in Helmsley. I'm going to Hullabaloo in Darlington. I'm going to, very quickly, I'm going to tell you so I don't get it wrong, Bridport, Dewsbury, Blackfriars, which is Boston, Washington Arts Centre up here. I'm going to the Arena in Wolverhampton. I'm going to Bedford. What's the theatre called in Bedford? The Place, Bedford. And there could potentially be another date or two, possibly Newcastle, maybe, but it's not confirmed as yet. But I'm going. If you live in Newcastle, you can get to Washington Arts Centre easy, or Darlington, so you can always see me there.
Excellent.
But yeah, Daisy Donald, it's the songs are amazing. I love them. I've worked with the most incredible artistic team, and thankfully, I've had some financial support and match funding for my Arts Council bid from Dexcom and Insulet as well, which is really kind of them. So I really appreciate that.
Wow.
But yeah, so that's
Fabulous.
on the road from 10th of October. All
Excellent.
right.
Good luck with that. I will put all the dates down below. But as like I said earlier, there will be links to Jade's socials. So go and follow Jade. And then she might have new ones, she might have forgotten some. And then you can jump on and buy some tickets and go and see. Jade is playing Daisy Donald. So, you might want to go and see that. It sounds good to me. Okay. So we're going to call it time, I think, Jade, before
Well,
this
thank you
video
so
cuts us off.
much, Paul, for having me. Thank you.
You, you're welcome. Thank you so much for your half hour or so. I think we've been chatting now. It's been amazing, and time has flown by. It always flies by. So, guys, go and check out the links. Like I keep saying, go and follow Jade. Go and watch the show. Go and buy the book. Do all those things. Before you've done
And
that,
donate to
sub to the channel.
JVRF. Donate to
Yes,
JVRF while you're there. If you're going to do all that, you may as well give them a
absolutely.
donation too.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, if you've got your debit card out and you're on the internet, I mean, come on.
Why not?
It
Why
makes
not?
sense. Before you do that, like the video, leave a comment. I'll pass any comments on to Jade. Sub to the channel, hit the notification bell, and then if another video comes out in future, which it definitely will, you won't miss that one. So thanks for watching, and thanks, Jade. We'll catch up soon, I hope.
Thank you. I hope so too.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye.